I'll be telling you how to ask a good question, right question I say. So obviously when we say that it's a right question, what does it mean? What does it mean? There can be a left question, wrong question, okay, whatever way you look at it. Anyway, unless and until you ask a right question, what will be the result? Unless you ask a right question, you won't get any right answers. It is as simple as that. So let us now go through this. Say I have given roughly 45 minutes, out of which 5 minutes might have already gone. So we will just go through this much. Just read about it. I will explain later. This is what we are expecting to achieve in this next 40 minutes. So how is an idea generated? It's extremely difficult to generate a good research idea. Everybody wants to do research. But if you take a 2-year-old boy or a girl, you will find that the fellow is in a good position to generate ideas. And what happens when he or she reaches around 60, 70, 80, he do not have any idea. Or the idea what he or she generates is from others only. They travel around, meet so many people and take one idea from Kuberan and give it to Arun. That's all what the seniors are most often doing. Okay. So let us see how a research idea is generated. What are the qualifications of a research objective? Objective is it. And then how to refine it further, and what's the link between objective, and is there any link between objective and title? I don't know how many of you have PGs. Hello? No. Okay. All are UG? No, it cannot be. Okay, fine. So the usually objective will have a link to the title. You know, when you write up something, say, I don't know, how many of you read newspaper daily? Thank you. Not even 20%, okay. You know, have you seen a newspaper? Hello? Okay, in every newspaper, you know, something happens. You know, after the name of the paper, they write something over there. Headline. What is the purpose of this headline? Please. What is the purpose of this headline? Highlighting what? Key point. Okay, fine. Why do they highlight the key point? So that the reader should go through the text. Otherwise there is no purpose in, we want only the highlights. Okay. The highlights should actually arouse interest among the reader so that the reader should go through the text. This is exactly what the title does in our research. What? Once you read the title, the reader should feel that they should read the for which the objective is the important link. This is what exactly the article tells you. So that is the link between the title and the objective. Then you have got methods. Methods depends on what is your objective. If you want to prepare sambar, have you known that? Do you know that there are vegetables in sambar? Yes, of course. How do you cut it? It is not, of course, with a knife, I agree. It will not be having the shape of an avial. Okay. So methods will suit your objective. And finally, the analysis will also, it should be done in line with your objective. And finally, if you take many of the, I am not saying any derogatory term about Indian journals, but you know many of the Indian journals, if you go through it, you will find that objective is something and they conclude entirely different thing. That you will find. I did not bring any example for that here. So your conclusion should be appropriate to suit your objective. So that way defining or refining or developing a research question is extremely important in conducting any study. Now look at this one. Just read the title. That's all what we want. What do you understand? What do you understand? Do you get any interest in what they are actually? Do you have any idea what they are likely to do in the deal with these? Of course, polio term is there, I agree. Other than that, comprehensive study, let's look at another one. Again, Dr. Anil is actually smiling. You know, the title is not communicating anything, except maybe there is a pinna and there is a polio. Okay, so we want the title to communicate. There it fails. Then you may refer to some of the classical work, a study on the, somebody was mentioning about the scurvy, Jenner, and so many other classical publications. During those days, agreed, they started with a study on blah 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 blah. Gone are the days, 300 years down the line, we are still following what they are doing. No, that's not the right thing. Okay, the title should reflect the objective. Here it is not actually reflected. So whenever you are, the question is how to generate an idea. Have you ever gone fishing? I am told that Coimbatore is running short of water, and fishing is not possible here. There is a lake over here, I saw it today, no morning. Nobody is fishing there anyway. How many of you have gone fishing? No. Fine. Anyway, getting a research question is something like a fishing. That's what many of them, unless and until you are prepared, you never get the right kind of fish also. Okay. So the research idea begins from an uncertainty about a health issue, in health research, of course. There is something which is not so clear. And there is an urge that we want to bring some solution to that. We want to bring some light into the uncertainty. And it's always challenging to have a research question in our mind. Extremely challenging. Once you are able to get some idea, then we can work. And when we were PGs, and now last 10 or 15 years, I was actually guiding PGs also. Every year, once the PG admission is over, it's a headache for me. For what? To get a research idea for the PG. So to start with, I used to actually give them the question. Then later I studied. No, I was not good at it. Then I asked them to come with certain question. Not question exactly the topic. Most of the topics may not be working out in the field. It's really challenging to identify certain areas. And from where do you get the idea? Sir was saying about 3 apples in the morning. Going by the Newton's way, are we going to, he got his idea from that's what the story is. We do not know what happened to him. Anyway, there's a second apple he has mentioned. In my state, it is not apple tree, there's the coconut trees are there. So sometimes it will be pure inspiration. I want to do something. Why? Because maybe one of my closest friend or maybe a relative is suffering from multiple sclerosis. I want to do some work in that particular field so that the problem is mitigated. Inspiration. Or it could be when we read certain publications, sometimes some idea strikes us. Why can't we do the other way around? Need not be, no, only when you read, not exactly reading, we say review. He was using the word, research, review. Critical reading. Then you think, say, it could be the other way around also. Fine. Then you can have sometimes you go for a seminar, a conference, you meet people, Dr. Anil is here, Dr. Valarmadi. When we talk to people, sometimes some idea gets into your head. Why can't it be the other way around? Just for the argument's sake, we start with something, then we work on that, then sometimes we may hit a jackpot. That's how usually. And then when you go to the ward, even undergraduate level, that's how we started actually undergraduate programs. When you go around the ward, have you heard about a national program called ARI? What's that? No, you are in the second year. So, okay, fine. There's a national program for, are you not in second year? There's a national program for control of respiratory tract infections, ARI, acute respiratory tract infections. Do you know how the program developed? The third year students, third year MBBS medical students going around the wards, they have actually palpated the pulse and respiratory rate of the patient suffering from pneumonia, and they have done some analysis with the type of people as Dr. Annelies, and they came out something. Okay, respiratory rate, pulse rate, if you are going to use it properly, you can do away with X-rays for diagnosis of pneumonia in Australia. Later, over the years, you have transformed many things, and finally you have got a program which enables ordinary people to count respiratory rate and pulse rate and come up with a diagnosis. Severe pneumonia, blah blah blah, you may be knowing. Okay, it is possible. Observing patients. Speaking to researchers, so many youngsters, they come over and say, I have talked to such a great person, and then I got a lot of inspiration and I got certain ideas as well. Then sometimes you get newer technologies. Few years back, somebody approached me. I want to measure BP. With any person should be able to measure it, and there should not be any gadgets like your BP apparatus. I said, I do not know. Probably you have to use ultrasonography or something. Otherwise, I do not know anything about the technology. You just contact some IIT people or something. Few days back, Apple was actually releasing their I don't know how many. Don't you know that Apple came up with their new products where they are actually measuring BP, pulse rate and everything. I do not know what technology they are using. It's possible. So you are bringing in technology to address an existing problem. And I have learned a lot from my students, not from my teachers, to be frank, because they have asked a lot of questions. Some of them may be apparently idiotic, but many of them will be actually making you think, why can't it be the other way around? Okay, so it is through that sort of a process. Again, a question from a student or maybe from an audience makes a difference. Unless and until, say, just go back to your Newton's experience. The fellow was actually thinking hardly. He had got scientific background. Then only the apple is going to make a difference. Okay. Otherwise, there are so many people died of hitting coconut in our state. After death, you cannot do anything anyway. Even if it is apple or coconut or anything, it is not going to make any difference. So is the Galileo. He was thinking, and then only he could actually come up with the eureka. Okay. So unless it is a prepared mind, things are not going to work. How do we prepare the mind? That is why he was actually saying reading. You have to have a background reading. You should think about it. What is exactly known now? Now what is actually not known now? That's the gap that you have to address. And how best I can actually do something to address that particular gap. So it comes to a prepared mind. And naturally, in Indian culture, there is a big problem. Wherever you go, you see your teachers, guru, as they were saying, and then you have to, I don't know whether it is existing here or not, some 1990s I came over here, there was a ritual that the students should actually fall on the floor, and it's not in any way practiced in my state. It is there, is it? No. I don't know. It should be there. Looking at he said no, but his face says yes. I'm not joking. It's nothing wrong with that. It's all these things. Let it go on. But please don't think that whatever the teacher teaches you is always right or truth. Take it with a pinch of salt. This is what our teacher says. He's a great man or she is a great woman. I appreciate that. But this is her teaching. This greatness and the knowledge has to be separated. The knowledge part will have to be challenged. Take it with a piece of skepticism. Try out. Only when you are convinced yourself that this is right, go by that. Otherwise, don't go. So that is essentially the basis of a scientific timber, we call it as. When a great, say even if it is Stephen Hawking, Stephen Hawking says that, okay, this is going to be the end of the world. What? You went to read someday? You have not read, eh? 2 days back there was a reference. 2 or 3 days. Eh? Higgs boson, God particle, whatever. I am not going to that part. But whenever somebody is saying, you listen to it, you think about it, and take it with a pinch of salt. It could be true or it may not be also. And that is what we call as the scientific temper. Now, a general idea has to be converted into a research question. You get some general idea, from that you have to develop a question. Now, how do we do it? First you should know the topic. Topic means, I am interested in diabetes, I am interested in TB, I am interested in whatever you can list out. Okay, now you have got a domain. Otherwise, I am interested in well-being of humanity. Fine, very good. It has to be like that. But in order to improve the livelihood of the people all over the world, you are not a god. There are always limitations. Therefore, you have to take a small piece of it. Usual example I use is, how many of you have eaten grapes, angur, grapes, mundiri, I do not know what you call in Tamil. Draksha. Telugu is also draksha. Draksha. How do you eat it? How do you eat it? How? You eat it as a whole, isn't it? You take one, put it in your mouth, maybe sometimes you wash, sometimes you may not, forget about it. So anyway, you eat it together. How many of you have seen mango? How do you eat it? You cut it into pieces and eat. How many of you have eaten jackfruit, chakka, panasa? How do you eat it? You cannot. Again, so depending on the size of the problem, what I am saying is, you have to cut it into pieces and take a bit which you can chew. That's the basis. Okay, so the well-being of the humanity is a too big a problem which you are not in a position to address now. Therefore, cut it and take a piece which you can bite. That's how the idea generates. What? In order to improve the well-being of the humanity, then I narrow it down to maybe mortality. Maybe mortality is due to a specific disease. You get it? And finally, I get a idea what I should work with. Then I form a question: how to reduce mortality, or I want to know why. In Kerala now, in Tamil Nadu also, I do not know about Karnataka. There is an epidemic of, which is a big epidemic now? Dengue, okay, fine. Any other? But dengue doesn't kill much. The killer disease. Road traffic, okay, fine. You are right, absolutely. Alcohol, okay, not enough. Road accident, somebody said. But these are agreed. You are totally right, but I was expecting a different answer. I knew very well that you will not give me the answer also. The answer is diabetes. For me. Doesn't mean that the one which you have stated is not correct. Okay, there can be more than one correct ways of putting things or seeing things. So diabetes is like an epidemic now. Maybe adult population, 10 to 15% of the adult population. In urban areas around 20%. Chennai, a cup study and all those things. Mohan has brought out a beautiful picture of what is actually happening in Chennai. 20%, 1 out of 5 people are actually having diabetes. It's huge. And why is it happening? That is science. Science is not exactly measuring the length and breadth of something. You should ask, why is it happening? How is it happening? That's where the science comes in. Let us develop a question for that. And then you have to operationalize the question. How? Why is diabetes mellitus happening in young people? That's one question. And then it cannot be operationalized. In order to operationalize, just as following our previous example of the fruits, you have to cut, take all the husk away, take only the edible part. That is the operationalizing. How do we do this? This is a challenge that we have to, and in order to do that, you have to measure the variables. Dr. Gautam Roy was repeatedly telling you about two variables. We will be measuring a lot of variables. You know what is variable? You study the third standard. Hello? How many of you know that? Variable? मतलब क्या है? Variable. Hello? Something which changes or varies. That is the variable. And we say x, y, isn't it? X and y and all those things in our third standard. So measurable variables. From this you have to refine a question. These are the usual methods that we adopt. What? You should know the topic you should know. You should have some idea from which you develop a question, refine it, and then the work is over. Just to summarize, topic, idea, question, and refining it. Refining it means you have to do it more than once. Now, whenever you are trying to do something, the feasibility comes in. It's extremely difficult part. Now we want to do a great work, great job we want to do, but the problem is it is not feasible. You have got so many good programs, that doesn't work. Then how good it is? Something which you have to think of. So striking a balance between idea and the feasibility. Unless it is feasible, you will not be able to do it. The idea, whatever that you are likely to put in, should be novel, then it should be interesting and relevant to the place. We are not doing something for the people who are actually living. I don't know whether there is any people in Mars. We are doing something for the people of this country here. Sometimes we may do something for African also, maybe yes, but the relevance will be comparatively less when compared to that of people of India. And then feasibility part I have told you, feasibility part, you know, whenever it is mentioned, please think about the measurability. We have said about the variables, and these variables will have to be measured. And of course, affordability. Without resources, you will not be able to do any work. There is ethical means it goes by the general agreement of the society that okay, this is good and this is good for humanity. And then what impact the disease, so the work is likely to have in our setting. This is essentially how we approach. Why should we have a research question at all? Why can't we do away with it? So the one is the research question provide a clear focus for the study. Unless there is a clear focus, we often tend to ignore it. We start with something and finally we end up with something else. That always happens. The second part is determine the design of the project. I told you earlier also how we are going to do it. The method part definitely it is linked to the objective. And what is the population? Suppose if you are going to study the determinants of diabetes in young population, you will not take a population whose mean age is 75. You will have to take young people. So the population is also dependent on that, and then you know depending on the objective you will be able to take the samples also. Maybe you can describe the variables in terms that can be measured. I told you again, measurability is the most important challenge that whenever we are doing some research in health field. Then it will guide us to collect data, and it will help us to analyze the data and maybe drawing conclusion also. So basically the research question comprises of these four questions: what, who, where, and how. You have to have some idea about all these things, then only you can actually put it in your research question. But whenever you are asking all these four questions, the one more thing should be in your mind: what? The why part. Why are you doing it? That usually goes as the introduction to your study. Introduction is something which you are actually introducing your objective, and your objective will have these four elements: what, who, where, and how. So what means, what are the variables? Measurable, of course. Who means subjects, cases or controls or whatever, location and method. Just look at it. If it is an intervention, This slide actually I am sure that Kuberan is also knowing very well, he has presented many places. Do what to whom for how long to achieve what effect. Here it's an intervention, doing something. Doing something means always an intervention. Just look at, compare these two words. See, moderate reduction of smoking habit. And look at the other one. Which one is measurable? Moderate reduction or 40% reduction? Which one is measurable? 40% reduction is measurable. So we need, this is how we have to, the people who are not so oriented, for them moderate reduction is okay. But some person who are actually in the field will never accept that sort of a word, because it has to be measured. Need not be 40%, 30%, even 1% reduction. It's a measurable entity. Now look at it. Now diabetes mellitus. Then you have to operationalize it. How? So we have to compare the prevalence of young age diabetes. If it is going to be determinants, you have to compare with, always epidemiology, you are using a group of people on whom you make certain observation and you compare with somebody else. Here, where will you compare? Young people with diabetes will be compared with whom? To know why it is occurring. What will be your comparison group? Young people with diabetes should be compared with somebody to know why something is happening, why diabetes is happening. Pardon? Young people without diabetes mellitus, maybe one way, or you can even compare young people with old diabetes, then you get a different picture. You can have more than one comparison. Whatever way you look at it, depending on your comparison group, your findings will also vary, and you have to define the question further. Now look at another one, esophageal cancer. Idea is there is a high incidence. What are the causes? Or maybe somebody is interested in identifying, is consumption of salted fish a causative factor? Then the question is, what are the causes of esophageal cancer? You know, there is a problem coming in. The word I have used over there is a causes. In epidemiology, it's extremely difficult to establish cause and effect. In fact, the whole philosophy around the world evolves around these two words, cause and the effect. It's extremely difficult. So usually we don't use such a strong word, rather we use the risk factor for esophageal cancer. To not establish causation is extremely difficult. So what are the causes of esophageal cancer? So we modify it into what are the risk factors of esophageal cancer in our setting. Then you operate, what are the risk factors of esophageal cancer? Then you have to refine the question for this is not good enough. Risk factors of esophageal cancer is not good enough because we are not able to do this work. Now look at this. Here what I have done is actually, see, the cancer was defined specifically, what does not include adenocarcinoma. It's only squamous cell carcinoma. And then location is actually mentioned. And again, compared to age and sex matched controls. So when we say that age and sex matched controls, Dr. Anil is here, he will just tell you that, okay, then while you are analyzing, it has to be a different method of analysis. That's why I said objective will be linked to the method of analysis also. And then from where do you get your controls? Controls from the surgery wards of the same hospital who do not have gastrointestinal malignancy. This is how we develop the question. Or if you are interested in if somebody is interested in the salted fish, then why should they collect all the information about the esophageal cancer? All the risk factors about esophageal cancer? Hello, can anybody tell me? My interest is only to estimate the role of salted fish in esophageal cancer. Then why should I study all the known risk factors of the esophageal cancer? Did you get me? You didn't get me. So my interest is to understand the role of salted fish in esophageal cancer. But when I am studying, I put the question right away. But when I am studying it, I will be collecting all the information, prevailing information, all the prevailing risk factors in that particular community into my study questionnaire. Why? Exactly. All these risk factors, very good. All these risk factors act together in a one particular person, and we want to know to what extent one risk factor is contributing to the development of the outcome. So unless and until, even if your interest is only one variable, unless and until you study the whole factors which may have a bearing on the outcome, you study it together, you will never be able to bring out the bearing of that particular factor. That is why. Now look at it, is regular consumption of salted fish a risk factor for squamous cell carcinoma of the esophagus in patients admitted to Karpagam Medical College Hospital compared to age and sex matched controls from the surgery, blah blah, the same. Okay. Now here I have measurable variables, I have put say risk factors and squamous cell carcinoma. As you are saying, two variables. Then subjects, patients admitted, then controls. Location I have mentioned, and method is actually a comparison. Many of the beginners may write a comparative study. Hey Baba, always in every study there is a comparison. Then why are you putting comparative study? It's not an accepted terminology. Fine. Just read about it. Can you read from behind? Last row is not interested, it seems. Here, they have actually spelled out each and every other detail in the question. But, you know, when you read, you don't usually go beyond 3 or 4 lines and you stop. I also have not actually read completely. In spite of 3rd or 4th time I am seeing this slide. That's essentially the problem is. So, don't go to this much extent. The purpose is actually that it should communicate, and the communication fails in this context. So, don't put all this unnecessary, even though it is essential in the question, don't put all the details in the question. Sometimes, you know, when you are doing the search, you put say objective 1, objective 2, objective 3 like that. So, what's the problem over there? When you are going to put so many questions, odd-on questions, what will happen is, it should actually, sometimes it takes a long time to, or your data collection has to be a long drawn process. It becomes difficult, you know, and through the process sometimes you forget about the primary question as well. And data collection is a problem, and I don't know whether, how many of you have heard about NFHS, National Family Health Survey? No, you should hear, NFHS. You know, there are certain big surveys in India, conducted in India, and if you go, I am sure that none of you might have answered a question. And the problem is, in say, I think it's in one of which I actually sat through for giving the answers. The questions were around 850. You can think of the time that you are likely to spend with the investigator. How many of the subjects will be ready to spare that much time? You know, they knock your door, not usually by appointment, and something will be in kitchen, or maybe your kid will be doing something else which you are actually tending to, and somebody is coming for the interview, and we think that it's only few questions. We start answering it, and at the end you find that it is something like infinite questions. You will not enjoy the whole scenario, and then you whatever you ask, you yes say, no, yes, no, yes, no, it goes like that. The quality of the survey goes down. And there will be budgetary constraints also. That's all, my dear friends, which I wanted to actually communicate with you. To develop a question is a professional job. Once you are able to develop a research question, nearly 10 to 20% of the whole research work is over. In order to develop a research question, you need to have a thorough understanding of the subject, reading what is actually happening around the world or today, and what exactly is the gap, the knowledge gap that is prevailing, and how your work or the way in which you think is going to address that particular gap. This is how we develop the research question. It's not a simple job. It requires a collective thinking more often. It's always better to consult somebody of your friends or relatives or students or teachers or I don't know who you may resort to. Through the process, you will be able to refine it. Sitting alone, sometimes you may think that you are doing a great job, but once you take it to Valarmadi, madam will say that, hey, there's a problem over there. Then only it strikes me. Always better that as an upcoming institute, I will also suggest that say the institution should develop that sort of a culture whereby all the projects are discussed in an academic group, so that the methods, the research question, everything will be better.